Greetings and welcome to the Fan Perspective. I'm your host Nathan Allen. This is NFL Weekly, the show where once a week I talk about things that happened last week in the league and talk about things I'm looking forward to in the coming week. And normally I do this like on Tuesday or Monday night when that one's already in the books. But I'm going to be busy Tuesday. I don't know if I'll actually be able to get to it. So I'm doing this right now. Some of the biggest storylines from this Sunday's action, there were a lot of upsets, none bigger than the St. Louis Rams just manhandling the Broncos. They held them to just 7 points, the least they have ever scored in the Peyton Manning era. And then, and I can't believe I'm saying this because they just faced beast mode yesterday, the Kansas City Chiefs have not allowed a single rushing touchdown this season. And that's part of the reason they were able to defeat the Seahawks yesterday, because I don't care what anyone says about Russell Wilson, Marshawn Lynch is the engine that makes this train run. He is the focus of that offense. And if you look at all the games that the Seahawks have lost this year, you can usually point to Lynch and see that that was the issue. Either the defense had kept him in check or the offense simply didn't give him enough touches. And then the Cardinals are 9-1. And that's the best that they've ever started a season since 1948. That was the last time they were 9-1. To put that in perspective, my grandmother was 5 years old. And Oakland still has not won a single game. And I was joking when I said this before, but I honestly think there's a possibility they could go 0-16. I would honestly like to see that. And then the Eagles, they got trounced. I'm not shocked because I've never believed that Shanchize was a franchise QB. I don't think he's the answer. I think he's good enough that in that system against lesser opponents, they have a more than good decent shot of winning. But against the elite teams like the Packers, then, well, you saw what happened. And so, moving on to fantasy, I had some bye-week issues last week, so I was looking for a good RB2, and these are a lot of the different names that came on my radar. Isiah Crowell was one of the ones that many people suggested. I don't feel comfortable going with him, and I don't recommend him to you because he's in Cleveland where they have that three-back system. But if you have to grab one of Cleveland's backs, Isiah probably is the best one to look at. You know, he's got the most upside. He's an explosive playmaker. But, you know, he does fumble quite a bit. And I think of all the people on this list that I'm reading off of right now, he had the least points this week. And then there's Tre Mason, running back for the Rams. 3 weeks in a row, he's had at least 18 touches. So for his workload alone, he's worth taking a look at, even though he's had some tough matchups. You know, and he's still available in 50% of the leagues. He might be a good plug-and-play option. And the guy that I ended up picking up was actually C.J. Anderson. I actually picked him up Sunday morning and threw him into the starting lineup because he's gotten double-digit points 2 weeks in a row. And the reason I chose him over everyone else is because, not that he's a better runner, but because he's got hands. Okay, because over the past 3 weeks, he has had a total of 15 receptions for 192 yards. And so even when the other halfbacks get healthy, which doesn't seem like it'll happen until fantasy playoffs, I mean, CJ might still be a viable option because it gives Peyton another weapon to throw to. And so especially in PPR leagues, he's a great flex option. And then also, if he's for some reason still available in your league, which I doubt it, Jeremy Hill might be worth a grab because in 2 of the 3 games that he started, he's had 150 rushing yards. So even when Bernard comes back, I still expect them to give Hill a fair share of carries. I'm not sure how they're going to divide the workload exactly, but you know, he's too talented a player to just sit on the bench for 4 quarters. And then, one of the biggest surprises, Jonas Gray had 100 yards and 2 touchdowns in the first half alone. And then, those of you who didn't watch the game on Sunday night are probably asking, who the fuck is Jonas Gray? Exactly! He's a new running back for the Patriots, apparently, and he finished the game with 200 yards and 4 touchdowns, which is more than LaShawn McCoy has had all season. The 4 touchdowns. McCoy has the yards. And so, this week's schedule, first of all, we've got a couple of bye weeks. These are the last bye weeks of the season. After this, everyone plays every week. You've got the Panthers and the Steelers. Then on Thursday night, you've got the Chiefs at the Raiders. Come on! I mean, I guess you could hope that the Raiders pull off the upset, but I don't see that be likely. Chiefs right now, top of their division. Raiders right now. Yeah. And then Sunday, you've got some good 1 o'clock games. You've got the Lions at the Patriots. The Lions have been one of the ugliest teams in the league this season. They play very sloppy and inconsistent. Yet they found a way to grab a lot of wins. But now they're playing the Patriots, who are the model of consistency. And then you've also got the Bengals at the Texans. The Bengals offense looks like it's back, and there's a chance Bernard should be returning next week too. So, that'll be good to watch the matchup between the Texans defense and the Bengals offense. And then you've got the Jets at the Bills, which is I think it'll be fun because you've got two of the worst teams in the league trying to prove that, like, hey, we may be bad, but at least we're not as bad as the Jets. Or at least we're not as bad as the Bills. Then you got some good 4 o'clock game. You got the Cardinals at Seahawks, the Battle of the Birds, last year's NFC Championship versus this year's top contender. You've got the Dolphins at the Broncos. The Broncos hoping to battle back from a tough loss against quite possibly one of the best defense in the league. It's arguable. Sunday night game is the Cowboys at the Giants, and for all intents and purposes, the Giants season is pretty much over. But they can still hope to try to hurt the Cowboys' chances of making the postseason. And then Sunday night, you've got the Ravens at the Saints. You got two elite QBs, Flacco versus Breeze. Flacco returning to the place where he won his Super Bowl, and maybe hoping to recapture some of the magic that happened when he played there before. Well, that's it for this week. Tune in next week for another all-new edition of NFL Weekly. But until then, this has been the Fan Perspective. I'm your host, Nathan Lyle. Have a good week.